the sides of the pond. Here the pond is the ocean, and the sides of the pond is the coastal area. And so these disturbances make the waves that come towards the shore, and then the mass of water that is moving is losing mass at the same rate, more or so, as the bottom of the ocean. It's getting higher and higher. So when it reaches the coastal area and the inclination of the bottom of the ocean gets steeper, this loss of mass, it's not happening at the same rate as the bottom of the ocean is going higher. So this causes the wave to go up and then to do what is called the bursting area. So where all of the waves finally form as a wave, and then they crash into the beach. On the big waves beaches, what we have is usually some kind of obstacle right in front of the beach, usually a coral reef that creates a bump on the bottom of the ocean and causes this bursting area to be a bit earlier, and so the mass lost by this huge mass of water is not yet enough to create a smaller wave, so it creates a bigger wave, but a similar one to a regular wave. And then here in Nazaré we have something completely different. We have a rock formation underneath the water that is a canyon, so a formation like the Grand Canyon but underwater. And what this causes is for this huge mass of water that comes towards shore without losing mass. Sorry, I was just watching this crazy guy almost crashing into that other one. So I got distracted, but so we have this huge mass of water that is not losing mass because the floor of the ocean is not getting higher, it's going forwards. So we have this huge mass of water that all of a sudden encounters the face of this wall of this canyon that is not regular, it's not straight, it's curvy, it's bumpy. So as the mass of water is bumping against the wall of the canyon, it's going up in different directions, in different speeds, and so it causes these crazy waves that are completely unpredictable, that come in different directions, in different speeds, and you cannot have like a logic behind the patterns of the waves, so they are completely unpredictable. Because of that, and because of the fact that Nazaré was initially just a small fisherman village, fishermen, they had to go out fishing no matter what the conditions of the ocean. So even with these gigantic waves happening, they had to go fishing. So they had to go to the water. At that time they would enter through the beach. They didn't have like a safe harbor or a port or a marina where they could safely enter the ocean. They would have to go on the bursting area in the beach. So it was something very common for the boats to tip over, and usually when boats tipped over, someone was going to die. So all of the families in Nazaré, they had lost someone to those waves. So basically nobody from Nazaré would ever think that they could have a nice time on those waves, and that they could surf those waves and live to tell about that. So of course it had to be a crazy American. It's always a crazy American with those things. So there was a guy there is a guy, he's still alive, named Garrett McNamara. He's an American. He grew around the Mavericks, which is one of these big wave beaches. He had been a professional surfer for a long time, already done several world championships of surf, already done several world championships of the big waves, and he was tired of always surfing the same beaches, the same waves, and so he discovered about the Nazaré Canyon. So he thought, let's see if I can surf those waves or not. So we reunited his team. He came here to Portugal to study a bit these waves and try to see if it was possible to surf those waves. And then after a few months of meeting with the local authorities to have permission to go on the water with these waves, finally he gets permission to do so. And the first time that he goes on the water, the first wave he can surf, he establishes immediately a Guinness World Record for the biggest wave ever surfed. His record was 21 point something meters. A few years later, because they started to have this place as a regular stage of the Big Waves Championship, a few years later there is a Brazilian surfer called Francisco Coxa that establishes a second record around 24 meters. And the current record was established last year. It was just a few months ago that they finally decided on the measurement of this wave, and so the current record is 26.21 meters, and it belongs to a German guy that I will not dare try to pronounce the name. You will just know that it's a German surfer with a crazy German name. So the current record is 26.21 meters, and we will see if they will continue to establish records here or not. Also, this year was the first time they've been surfing here for 8 years more or so, and this year was the first time that a surfer died here in Nazaré. I was born and raised not very far away from here, 40 kilometers more or so. I've known these waves my entire life, and my only surprise is that it took so long for a surfer to die here, because the first time that they started to come here, I immediately thought someone's going to die, and I thought it was going to be on the first year, and then they would never try to do it again. It wasn't. It took 8 years, and so they continued to do it. This year there was an accident on the second week of January, a guy that fell down the wave in the middle of the bursting area, and he didn't survive. So it was the first death due to the surfing here. It will not be the last one, and they know that. They are aware of how dangerous the waves are here. They are so aware that the championship has different rules on this stage than on the rest of the world. The biggest difference on the composition of the teams, it's that usually on the other beaches you have a guy that is called a spotter, and a spotter's job on every other beach is to choose the wave that each surfer is going to surf. So basically the guy is on a tower or on a cliffs watching the waves and telling each surfer the wave that they're going to surf. And usually you have one spotter for around 10 surfers. Here in Nazaré, each team for each surfer needs to have their own spotter, because he needs to be constantly telling the jet skis that are used to tow the surfer to the water the direction of the next wave, because if they are poorly positioned for the direction of the next wave, they can be tipped over, and usually if they are tipped over, chances are that they are going to be dragged to the bursting area and they will need rescue from the other jet skis. So now, because of these big waves, Nazaré have tourism all year round, because in the summer we have people coming to the beach, and in the winter we have people coming to see the big waves, or hoping to see the big waves, or crazy enough to try to surf the big waves, because you need to have a special death wish to want to go to the water when those massive monsters are coming to shore. So this first stop is going to be on the viewpoint over the town. It's just a quick stop for a couple of pictures, and then we descend and we stop next to the beach. Not the beach where we usually have the big waves, because due to the big waves we don't have a lot of construction on that beach. So near the beach of Nazaré, which is the second beach here, is the place where you have all the restaurants, and that is the place where we are going to stop. But I'm going to drive behind the sanctuary of Our Lady of Nazaré so that you can take a quick look at the beach where usually the big waves happen. Portanto, aqui a nossa primeira paragem na Nazaré vai ser uma paragem rápida no mirador sobre a vila, e depois vamos descer para a praia da Nazaré. Não é a praia onde acontecem as ondas grandes, porque por causa exatamente das ondas grandes não há muitas construções ali mesmo à beirinha da praia, e então todos os restaurantes, ou grande parte dos restaurantes que nós temos, são na praia da Nazaré e não na praia do Norte, que é onde acontecem as ondas. Mas eu vou agora passar aqui por trás do santuário de Nossa Senhora de Nazaré para vocês conseguirem ver um bocadinho da praia onde acontecem normalmente as ondas grandes, que é a praia do Norte. This beach here is the beach to the north. Esta é então a praia do norte, onde acontecem normalmente as ondas gigantes. This is where usually we see the big waves. They don't happen over there. They happen over here, right in front of us, behind the school. So usually we cannot see it. Portanto, normalmente a zona onde acontecem as ondas grandes é aqui mesmo por trás desta escola. Por isso normalmente daqui de cima não conseguimos ver, só mesmo lá em baixo. You have to go down this road. Normalmente, para podermos ver as ondas gigantes, temos que descer aqui e ir até ao Forte de São Miguel, lá em baixo. Ainda é uma caminhada grande, portanto, nesta paragem não conseguimos ter tempo para irem mesmo até lá abaixo, mas ali de baixo depois eu consigo explicar mais ou menos a altura que as ondas conseguem atingir, e conseguem ver também o forte lá de baixo. So, from our second stop, we are going to be able to see the fortress at the end of the cliff, and I will also be able to tell you how big the waves usually get.
Let's look at over here, and then we can drive down to the beach. fantastic. There's a view, isn't it? It's amazing.
עוד אחד קדימה. זהו, זה לא טוב, כי אנחנו עמדנו פה, עכשיו היא עומדת שם. תודה לא נכונה.
נכון מאוד, יפה מאוד.
E sabem cozinhar peixe como deve ser aqui, fica mesmo muito bem cozinhado. Os três principais pratos, normalmente mais tradicionais nestas zonas, são o arroz de marisco, o arroz de tamboril e a caldeirada. Portanto, o arroz de marisco e o arroz de tamboril são muito semelhantes, mas o arroz de marisco normalmente leva uma variedade de mariscos e alguns molúsculos de concha, amêijoas, barbigões, mexilhão e outros tipos de mariscos, enquanto o arroz de tamboril normalmente leva apenas tamboril e camarão, mas são os dois muito bons. E depois tem também uma opção de caldeirada, também é um prato típico de zonas pescatórias em Portugal, e a caldeirada basicamente é como se fosse um guisado de peixe, um guisado muito levezinho, normalmente com batata e pimento, tudo misturado, fica ali a cozinhar durante um bom tempo e é muito, muito, muito saboroso. No entanto, se não gostarem de peixe, se não quiserem comer peixe, se não vos apetecer comer peixe, têm muito por onde escolher aqui nesta zona e é por isso que nós fazemos então a paragem do almoço aqui. Têm diversas opções e então conseguem ter muito por onde escolher. Praticamente todos os restaurantes aqui desta avenida têm mais ou menos os mesmos preços, mais ou menos a mesma qualidade, portanto será tudo muito semelhante. So most of these restaurants around here more or so the same quality, more or so the same type of prices, so it's just a matter of looking inside and the one that speaks to you, you enter.
vidéo de la mer d'abord.
C'est normal.
Pronto, 12 €